These are not really going to be pictures at an exhibition, but this is an accumulation of pictures that we've had over the years, and we thought we'd put them on a tape. We start off with this couple whom we really can't identify. The woman in this picture resembles Leah's great-grandmother, who appears on a picture with her daughter and her granddaughter Jenny and her siblings. The man in the picture could be her husband, or it could be Leah's grandfather. In any event, they are a handsome couple. And these pictures, I don't know if it'll show up, but one of them was taken in Minsk, and the other was taken, well, I'm not sure what that says there, but it's in Russian. This, however, is definitely Leah's mother, Jenny. Siegel, Goldblatt, Hunger. Could this be her wedding picture? And this picture was taken in Rochester by Jefferson, who had his studio on Hudson Avenue. And here are some interesting pictures. The one in the middle is Harold. He must be 2 years old. This must be taken sometime around 1931 or 32. Oh, and over here is B and Leah and Stanley and Harold. And over here we have Selma and Harold. And this is another picture of Harold, taken 1934. He's 5 years old there. This is Selma and one of her friends. I think it was taken 1935. And there's another picture of Selma. And over here we have a picture of Rachel Emanuel, who was married to Tzvi for a period of 1 year when they left for Palestine in 1939. And over here we have a picture of a girls' unit called La Hava, of which Leah, down in front with the curly hair, was the leader. And here is Sam Korn, NB. At that time, Sam still signed his name Samuel Korn. And B signed her name in Hebrew, Batya Daf Zahav, which is equivalent to B Goldblatt. This must be just before they were married, so this has to be about 1939. And over here is Shulamit. Well, at that time, I guess her name was still Marshak, and then became Lieberman. Now, we all belong to the Shomer Tzir during the late 30s and early 30s. And this is one of the activities. It was a tiyul, a hike down to Ellison Park, probably. Salma is the fourth from the left, or fifth from the left. Yeah, well, I guess we got a lot of reflection there. Now, this is better. January 1937. I don't know, maybe if these are enlarged, they might show up, who knows. This again is Leah's group, and she's right in the middle. Always smiling. We used to have a summer camp for about 2 weeks out near Niagara Falls on a little pond called Bonds Lake. It wasn't much of a lake. We had the privilege of swimming in a quarry that had a pond. There was a little lake, but we were not permitted to use it. Now, there's a number of people here that I can identify, but probably the most prominent one is the second from the right, who is Harry Lipkin, and is now one of the foremost nuclear scientists of Israel. As you can see, our camp was pretty primitive. We did not have floors. We had cots, though. There was no such thing as sleeping bags. We used to use a euphemism for the toilet, and we called it the Congress. And everybody's pointing. The one that looks like the biggest idiot in an undershirt is yours truly. For a few days before camp opened, the construction crew, if you excuse the expression, would take the equipment out and set up the tents, etc. And that was our transportation. The kids used to come by carpools, actually. And the fee for camp, I think, was $5 a week. We used to schnorr food from different companies. And this is the basic construction crew. If you want to recognize some people there, kneeling on the right is yours truly, and Zelik is right in front of me. Selma is to my right, and Leah with her head down. You can always recognize her by her glasses. And this is another shot. Again, the man in the middle, young man in the middle, is Harry Lipkin, Sri Lipkin. And Zelik is to his left. Leah's on the bottom, usually wearing a bathing suit. And I'm always in that funny undershirt. And Selma's right in front of Zelik. Truth of the matter is the three girls around Zelik were all after him. This is during the camp itself. I think the guy bending over is Svi. I think that's Zelik. And here is Leah's group. She's sitting down. I think Selma is the second from right. This is Tzvi. Selma is down in front. And that is Tzvi again. Things were pretty primitive there, as you can see. I don't think we did have a tent that was supposed to be like a dining hall, but most of the time we were out in the open. I don't think we had our own tent at that point. It sure looks like it. And here Leah's giving me a haircut. This is another group of Shomrim, the Shomer Tzair, and the only person here that you would recognize is Selma right in the middle of the picture. During the year of 1937, in Palestine, to defy the British government, the British Mandate government, the Jews decided to put up a series of settlements strategically located throughout Palestine. And the technique that was used was called wall and tower. Walls were prepared beforehand in segments, and also segments of towers. And in one day, hundreds of people would assemble and set up a settlement with a perimeter that could be defended from Arab attacks. And for a number of years, the idea of Choma u'Migdal was prevailed. In 1938, instead of having our own camp for Rochester, we joined with a group of Shomer Tzair from Toronto and had a combined camp on the shores of Lake Simcoe. One of the projects for this camp was to build a tower, And the next few pictures will describe how this tower was erected. What you're looking at now is carrying the long tree trunks that form the four corners of the tower. And here you see how it is erected. It took nearly a full week of cutting the trees and putting the members of the tower together and then erecting it. On the Friday night, when the tower was completed, there was a great celebration. And then after everybody was in bed, we had an attack. Zelik, who was the leader of a younger group who were called B'nai Midbar, children of the desert, nomads, they came in the middle of the night, uprooted our tents on top of us, and bombarded us with mud bags, mud bombs. And throughout the whole time, they shouted, Havlaga, Havlaga, which means restraint, restraint, which was the motto of the people in Palestine who would try to restrain themselves when they were attacked by Arabs. They would defend themselves but refuse to go out in a counterattack. And of course it was a lot of fun for the little kids, and the bigger kids were really pissed. This is a picture of the group of kids who put up the tower. Of course, the picture is taken from the tower. In the fall of 1938, I went to Liberty, New York, to what was known as the farm, the Chava, for training, preparation of making Aliyah. One of the jobs I had there was taking care of the stable of 3 horses. Here you see 2 of them. They were mismatched. The one on the left was called Bill, and the big one that I'm holding is Tom. And they were a funny team. Bill would always be doing all the pulling and the hard work, and Tom would just go along for the ride. There was a 3rd horse, a Belgian, a great big monster, who was blind, who was used for odd jobs around the farm. It really wasn't much of a farm. It had a barn with a few cows and the 3 horses and chickens. Here are a few pictures of some of the people who were at the farm at the time. People came from all over the East Coast. Some were from Montreal, and others from New York City. This is Leah, who came out later, and Davy Ketchik from Toronto. Davy Ketchik was actually my bed partner. The farm had the house had two sections, an old and a new. The new section had indoor plumbing, but it didn't have any heat. So in the wintertime, the indoor plumbing was turned off and we had to use the outhouse. Our bedroom was up on the second floor, and it was very convenient. There was a window there, so we avoided going down to the outhouse during the night. Of course, later, Leah became my lifelong bed partner. This is a picture of Davy and I and a cow, if you can figure that out. This is a picture of the total herd. Not much of a herd, but it was enough for people to learn how to milk cows, and I guess some calves were born during the period we were there. These are the people who were at the Chava at one time. And although we believed in emancipation of the women to do all kinds of work, as you can see, Leah was still doing what women usually do. At the time, we were both, I think, 18. This is what I looked like in an army uniform. This must be taken 1945, end of 45 or early 46. When Harold was in high school, he studied photography, and this is one of the pictures he took. It must be around 1947 or 8. This is what I looked like in 1960 when I was appointed to be the education director of Temple Brit Kodesh. If it's a good picture, give the credit to the photographer. This is Billy Siegel. Billy Siegel was born to David and Marion Siegel. Marion's maiden name was Leibowitz. Billy was born in 1939, and his mother died in childbirth. And David had many problems. And for all intents and purposes, Billy was raised by Max, his Uncle Max, and his Aunt Maud. Billy evidently had the cancer strain in the Siegel family and died at the age of 39. Here is Billy with a friend of his and his Uncle Max in the background. And here we see him with Max and Maud. This must have been taken around 1944 when Max was in the service. And here he is with Maud. Maud had a son by the name of Jack Collier, and that is his wife Marie and their son Billy. He was called Big Billy, and Billy Siegel was Little Billy. Jack is dead, and I think Big Billy also died. And Marie lives down in Florida somewhere not far from Maud. And here are Jack and Marie with Norm. Now Davy remarried a woman by the name of Fanny Cantor. She was the daughter of the old man Cantor who had the original fish market. They had two daughters. This is the youngest, Margie. The older one is Ann Ruth. And Davy and Fanny were divorced, and Davy married a third time and died somewhere in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, I don't believe we have any pictures of Davy. In this picture we have Max and Maud and Jenny. Jenny didn't look too happy. She seldom did. This is an unusual picture. The man in the middle is Jenny's older brother. He was the oldest, Eli. And his daughter, Alberta, who for some reason disowned him. Eli died at the Jewish home in 1986, and no one could locate his daughter, and if they could, she really wasn't interested in what had happened to him. And Jenny in this picture, judging by the size of Billy, this picture must have been taken in the early 40s. Jenny in this picture is in her early 40s, and she was born in 1901. Hard to believe, but it is true. Somehow this picture was mixed in with the pictures of Billy. And this is a picture of Judy Jablin. We must have had some other pictures of her somewhere, but since we were very close to the Jablins all our lives, or at least since 1936 or 7, that's Anne, known as Chickie, and Izzy, known as Shorty. And these are some pictures of Harold's family. Margie and Linda and Mitch, under a year old. Mitch was a preemie and weighed perhaps a pound or a pound and a half. And here's Harold with Linda and Mitch. And here he is with just Mitch. Harold and Margie used to send us pictures every year of the children. I suppose these were class pictures. We never marked them, so we don't know the correct sequence. But he gets better looking as he gets older. We used to have a little a little picture frame, and each year we would add one on top of the other. And of course, here's Linda. You could also do a study about the change of style in eyeglasses. This picture was taken in 1991, just 3 years ago. Harold was in the Army during the Korean War. He was stationed in Germany, however. And by all intents and purposes, it was a big vacation for him. We have many pictures of Salma scattered through our albums and among our slides, but these are a few oldies. This must be her high school graduation picture. Selma had a good voice, and when she was in high school, she sang in a choral group together with, whatever his name was, uh, Warburg. Warburg? The singer's name is Bill Warfield, whose father was a minister in the black church in Rochester. And this choral group was one of the groups that sang at the World's Fair in New York City in 1939. Here are a couple of pictures of Salma with me, and that might be Adele, age 1 or 2. And over here we have B and Salma and Harold, or rather Stanley, in the background. Here are Salma and Stanley in 1962 in Florida, Miami, where they've been living, I think, since 1959, maybe. And this is 3 years later. In their home. This is the front of their home with their fancy car in the carport. These pictures were taken in January 1964. Stanley was always proud of his cars. He used to take good care of them. Can you believe this is 30 years later? Stanley was a good-looking chap. I think this is taken before he's married. Stanley also served in the Army. Part of his duties at one point was guarding Fort Knox. He never came home with the gold, though. He moved to Cleveland, I don't remember when, but and married Alice Barr, we'll see pretty soon. This turned out to be his favorite position, and especially when cable came in and he could watch the sports channel for as many hours as he wished. The only thing missing there is his big cigar that he always had in his mouth. And this is Gail in her home on Berkeley Street. This picture was taken the same time Stanley's was. I have no idea when this was taken, but you can see there's quite a difference between Alice of then and Alice today. Oh, there it is. No, this was taken in 1956. Must be either just before or just after their wedding. This is taken on Cutler Street, where we lived for 10 years. And these are pictures of Gail at perhaps at age 1 or thereabouts, looking at her father, who's probably looking at the TV. And this is one of those French photographs. If you look at her closely, you'll see she looks pretty much like Evan does, Jay's son. And here she is with Alice, her pride and joy. And here's Alice at age 2.5, and she's waving at somebody. And here's Alice again at different ages. They sure made small pictures in those days. See if this is a better picture. Can't get too close to this or else it's out of focus, and I don't know why. And this is Jay. He too has a little picture here. And here's the two of them. Well, here's B, otherwise known as Beatrice. Why they always take such small pictures? This is her again, can hardly recognize. But that's the way it was. They took these little pictures. And here's B with Leah. This is not going to come out. This should be a better shot. Yeah. A couple more pictures of B. Yeah, this is B's husband, Sam Korn. And here he is together with Adele. famous photographer. He used to take some good pictures. Here's the entire family: Sam B., Adele, and Judy. These are pictures of Adele at a very young age. That's a telephone in the background. This is on back of one of the pictures. I'll turn it around. And there she is at 4 months. This is more Adele. And here she is standing in her crib. And on the back, B wrote, "Look, Ma, I'm finally standing." So I guess she must be 3 years old at this point. And this is Adele at age 16. For some reason, we don't have many pictures of Judy. This is Judy and Sam when they were down at Charlotte here once. And here she is, a little older. I guess parents take all their pictures of their older kids, and then when the next one comes along, why, they forget. I guess the same thing worked in our family. Wait till you see the pictures we have of Norm. And this is Judy at 16. Not 16, 13. She knew then she was going to marry a doctor. And here are a few pictures of the two sisters. I never knew B dressed them alike. I bet they loved that. I must make a correction about this picture. It's a good thing Leah saw this before this went to press. I don't know how to insert this in the proper place in the tape, so I have to make a correction. This is not a daughter of Davy and Fanny Cantor, his second wife. This is a daughter of Davy and his third wife. uh, name is Margie Lou Siegel, and must still be living in Las Vegas if he didn't move from there. This picture was taken in 1959, so she must be a big girl by now, must be 40 or so. Well, we are now getting into pictures of the family. Some of these may be repeated. This, of course, you recognize as Jenny Siegel Unger and Maud Siegel. This has probably been taken sometime in the early 40s. Now this is an interesting picture. This is a picture of Tzvi and Aaron taken sometime during the very early 20s, maybe 1921 or 2. Must have been after our father was killed. It's taken in Oil City, Pennsylvania, on the steps of our grandparents' home on Seneca Street. They tell me that while that picture was taken, I got very upset, and I guess I wet my diapers. Now you might want to look at this picture for a while and guess who these people are. And you know, if you look close enough, you can see that, well, some of them look the same today, or their offspring do. In the center is Stanley, and behind him is B. And of course you can figure out who the other two are. The curly-haired one on Stanley's right is Leah, and the fourth child is Selma. You can guess when this was taken, but I won't tell. And here are a few shots. Here is one of the most interesting pictures we have. This is a picture of Leah's mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, and Leah's uncles. Now let's zero in on well, we zeroed in too much. Okay. That's Leah's great-grandmother, her mother, and this is Leah's mother. This is Max Siegel, and that's Les Siegel. And this is the oldest of the Siegel boys, Eli Siegel. This photograph was in pretty bad shape. This is partially restored. This is what the original looked like. You see the crack right in the middle. And this is the final restoration by David Perlman. Of course, he took some liberties in terms of the sizing and also by eliminating some of the props. But this is a fascinating picture. 3 generations. The youngest son, David Siegel, was not yet born. And here are a couple more interesting pictures. This is Molly, Soloway, Braveman, Gurarier, and Grablowski. This is her wedding picture in 1916. And this picture was taken by Yoshua sometime in the 80s, early 80s, in Jerusalem. And here are a couple shots of Joshua Braveman, otherwise known as JZ. That was taken before his marriage. And here's one from about the same period. This is Jay-Z and Molly's wedding picture. Not a bad looking couple. This picture had to be taken sometime around 1916 or 17. And this is the grandparents Braveman, right in the middle. And their children and daughters and her sons-in-law and daughter-in-law. This is Fanny, and behind Fanny is Harry Novi, and in the corner is the youngest daughter, Sophie, who was later married to Seymour Elkins, whose son is Herschel Elkins. He's not the DA, but the Assistant Attorney General for the County of Los Angeles. And here is Stanley and Dora Solomon. And next to them is Molly and Jay-Z Braveman. Next is Ann Ethel and Harry Parker. And this is Sarah Braveman, not yet married, to be married to Nat Vogel, whose 2 children are Josh and Minna Block, both living in New York. This is Bubby Braveman, taking the backyard of number 6 Grant Street, where they lived. And here we have a picture of Ethel, Aunt Ethel, probably taken at the Jewish home. Here she is in younger days. In her backyard. She was a hard worker. Someday I'll write the story about this woman. These are some pictures of the family. These are not in any great order. Many of them are undated. Well, this is dated because this is Norm's bar mitzvah. There he is. And of course, the cake. And the family. We'll come back to that picture soon. That's what the buffet table looked like before. And here's the Holy Family. I guess Joan didn't want to get in this picture. Here are some of the guests at the bar mitzvah. Here's Leah sitting with Sam and Gert Graziano. He worked with me at the post office, lived around the corner. And here are some members of the family. Let's see, you can come in a little closer. You can all recognize Aunt Ethel. I think Joan is just sneaking out there. Next to Aunt Ethel is Aunt Fanny and Emma Serafin and Lou and Edith Perlman. And behind them is Dick and Agnes and their son David. And standing in back is Sylvia and Ricky. And sitting is Harold Lazaroff and Sarah Vogel. And I think that may be Nat Vogel standing behind. And here in the chow line, who's first but Selma? And Scotty, next to her, Scotty Kaplan. And Hi Starsky, and Chuck Noto, and I can't recognize the other two. Here are some more guests. This is Max Frankel and his wife. Max Frankel was a principal at Joseph Center. I met him many years later in Cincinnati, where he was working. It was hard to tell it was the same man. He must have put on 150 pounds around the waist. And this is Molly and her friend Anna Rogelski. And here are some friends of the family, the Sangrins, Max, and I can't remember his wife's name. And over there is, looks like B, and Sidney Parker, and I think that must be Adele there. This must be Ben Rogelski, Anna Rogelski's husband. And here we have some more family, Willie, Yardena, and Ethel and Aunt Fanny, and looks like Sarah next to Yardena. And this is the entire family, the Braveman family. Plus some of the Goldblatts. In the bottom row here, we have, well, you can recognize them. That is Adele and Joan and Don, who's probably saying, oh boy, someday I'll do this. And that is Nadav and Noah and the bar mitzvah boy. And going up higher, right in the middle, is Jenny. And on one side is B, and the other side is Leah. And Stanley. And Harold and Selma. Yeah, there I am. And there's Svi and Yardena and Molly. Quite a crew. Probably it's the first and only time that many of the family were together. These are some early photos of Norm. It says 1944 on back, so it must be 3 years old. That's with his grandmother, Molly. And, oops, here he is. This is on Portland Avenue. And he must be 3 or 4 at this age, or maybe less. His uncle Harold was taking photography in high school, and he did this picture. This is with Adele and Patterson, and I believe this picture was also taken in Patterson during the war. I was visiting there. This is an interesting picture. It was taken in Toronto. And Leah evidently bought a new suit there, maybe new shoes. Because on the back of the picture she wrote, "This is me in my new suit. Too bad you can't see my red shoes." This is one of the early days. This is riding his tricycle. These are pictures from Athens Street days. Trying to figure out what he's doing there, but is that a ball he's holding? Whatever. I don't know if this is the time he was in the backyard smoking a cigar. Grandma came out and he tried to hide the cigar and he hid it in his pants. Must have a scar somewhere. Billy Siegel was a couple of years older than Norm, but they palled around. Here they're trying to give Don a bath. I don't know who the other kid is. Great friends. I wonder what they're up to here. don't know if this is from the same period or not, but this was taken in the late 40s by Moshe Lieberman, who was really a master photographer. I guess at one time Norm took up boxing. I don't know who his partner is. And there's an interesting picture right here. It's probably the only picture we have from his first year at Camp Seneca, a JY camp, where they took him when he was only 7 years old, not quite 8. Must have had a ball because he was a candidate for the king of the camp. I think his motto was, vote for cabbage and get ahead. Star pitcher. When Norm was 11, we took a vacation. I think it was our first real vacation since we were married. And we went down to Virginia Beach. It was so hot there, after 2 days we left. We stopped at Washington. But on the way to Washington, we stopped at Williamsburg. Oops. It's out of focus once in a while. It says on the back of this picture, this is March 1st, 1953, and this is taken at a Purim carnival at Brit Kodesh. Couldn't be, I didn't get involved with Brit Kodesh until August of 1954. This is one of our fishing expeditions. I don't know if you can see the fish, but it's there. Norm always wanted to drive before his time. I suspect he probably did. This, of course, is Cutler Street. This is on a fishing trip in 1955. If you look closely, this must be another fishing trip. Tackle is down in front. Just trying to figure out where this was taken. I have a hunch that this may be in Cleveland. I don't know, that looks like one of the Goldblatt children. Maybe not. Well, this looks like Newfoundland. Norm and Sharon. Should be some more, well, we have a lot of pictures in the book. These pictures are mostly the unorganized ones. These may be more of Newfoundland. What this gadget is, I'm not sure. Or could this be down at Miami University? But this is definitely up there. A couple of cod. Were you out jigging, Norm? Somehow this picture got mixed in with Norm, but of course this isn't Norm, this is Josh. This is taken in our backyard on Fairfield Drive. I recognize the wall plug. So this completes the Norm series. Well, these are pictures of Don. Again, no special order. Hopefully this is the earliest ones we have around. There must be some others somewhere. This must be Athens Street. More Athens Street. Here's one with John Unger. It must be the only picture we have of John. On the back of this picture it says Hiroshima. This must be a monument somewhere. It'd be nice if somebody identifies this. This is Norm and Don. I don't know what he's thinking about. Anybody remember this car? Looks like the old Dodge. I'm not sure if this is on Charlotte Beach or some beach where we're camping. Looks like the camping kids were there and some other kids. These are from the Cutler Street days. There's Young Homestead. This in the backyard. This was taken in 1955. These were taken the same year on Harris Street. Where Grandma Jenny and John moved to. This is leaving on a camping trip, 1955. And one of the places we went, I was wrong on a previous picture. This is one that's marked Hiroshima. This looks like a camping trip with the Heights to Allegheny State Park. Was there a lake there that size? Could be. Is it Purim or Halloween? This is done with this friend, John Groff, who when they were in the 7th grade took a train ride to Albany. On the way back, they wanted to go into the dining car, and all they had was enough money for a cup of tea. John Groth is now married to a doctor who plays a very important role at St. John's Home. She's an expert on ministering to the dying. And another winter scene from Cutler Street. Joan's learning to ride a bike backwards. This looks like Hanukkah. Oh yeah, this must be just after our kitchen was done on Cutler Street. That was a neat job. Now this must be part of a Purim carnival in 1964. This was throwing the sponge at or something. Well, and this completes the Don pictures. Early days. With Grandma Molly. Here's an interesting sequence of pictures. Anybody can make up a story. Looks like he just ate the canary. A real panel. These are Cutler Street. Down to Charlotte. And this is Joan's girlfriend. I'm not sure who she is. Unless she's the one who lived across the street that cried because she couldn't stay home on Rosh Hashanah. Who else? It's the shoe that gives her away. That's backyard Cutler Street. Where are they going all dressed up? And this city with Grandma Jenny on Harris Street. Must be just before she went into the home. I think this was part of the great ballet uh, presentation. The main event were the Hawaiian dancers. This looks like her little friend again. No, maybe that was somebody she babysat for. Here's another shot of that child. Was Joan babysitting already in 1958? Could be. Oh, here she is with a couple of wild ones. These are the Broido boys, Michael and Daniel, I guess. I think Michael is a big cop in the sheriff department. And this is at Allegheny State Park camp, maybe. Looks like one of the Height kids. Karen? Looks like a camp group. GY, maybe? Can't tell. Is that in front of number 8 school? I bet it is. Getting ready to go to camp. The old trailer. Yeah, that must be it. Well, packing or unpacking. We have good times in that trailer. Now this is high school graduation, and this completes the Jones series. By the way, these aren't all the pictures. These are only the pictures we never got into an album, or were in an album that disintegrated. Well, here's a mishmash of pictures down in Norm. And here, this looks like Don and being held by Selma. And I don't know who's in the back there, but there's Leia and Norm in front. And here's a good shot of Cutler Street. There's a story about that big bedroom in front that covered the whole front of the house. When we moved in there, there were 2 rooms. One larger than the other. The other was probably for children or maybe a sewing room. But there was no closet in either one of them. And I tore down one part of the wall and enlarged the bedroom, and at the same time had a nice-sized closet. When the job was completed, Uncle Harry and Aunt Fanny were over for a visit, and I proudly showed Uncle Harry Novi, who was a master cabinet maker. The job I did. And he went in, he took a good look around, and finally he pronounced his judgment. He says, you know, Aaron, if you put a wall right here, that is where I took the wall down, you'll have 2 rooms. This looked like it's taken in Highland Park in front of Magnolia Tree. Yeah, I can't believe I had hair once. I wonder why the kids are giggling. Well, the 3 Musketeers. Yeah, this looks like the backyard of Cutler Street. And this is in front of the house. This looks like the Holy Family. Wonder where we were going all dressed up. There's no clue. This is another shot of a camping trip. Still think it was Allegheny. This is Maplewood Park, 1945. Grandma Molly and Danny were visiting us. And that looks like Don. Take that back. That's Norm. 1945. Don wasn't even a glimmer. That's Norm. And this is Danny down on the ground. Can't figure out why I have so many copies of this picture. It's taken in the courtyard of the temple. And I think it was taken before Norm was going back to his 2nd year college, 1960. Maybe not. But if you'd like to have a copy, why, you're welcome to them. This is Leah and Ann Kaplan and Florence Rubin on a shopping trip to Harold's shoe store in Syracuse. I don't know what the hell I'm doing here, but you can see who's supervising in the background. This is from Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm the good-looking one. The one on the other extreme was a Mormon bunkmate of mine. Oh, here's Sharon. This belongs with Norm's pictures. This is up in St. John's. Well, this is the swimming star. Well, this is one of the rare shots. Joan looks as happy as usual when her picture's being taken. don't know where this is taken, but here's 4 out of 5 of the Goldblatts, and I think that's Norm. This is in Florida, 1964. I think I had a conference down there, and we all drove down. And while I sweated away at the conference, attending meetings, you guys just sat around here. Well, here's 3 of the Goldblatts. This was taken early in the war, early 40s sometime. This is Gilad. I don't know where this came from, but this is Yeshua's son. Who has quite a story to tell. Oh, this is what I looked like in 1934. This is what I looked like 1958. This is what I could look like at any time. This looks like it was taken on Cutler Street. On the back of the picture it says 1941. Well, it wouldn't be Cutler Street then. It would be Max's house on Herman Street, where we stayed for a while when we came back from California. This of course, is Harold and Marge, and Linda and Mitch. This is their Harold and Marge's wedding picture. They were married in Buffalo. Can't remember the year. Of course, the kids weren't there at that time. Beautiful children. Well, these are pictures of the Corn Girls. This is Adele at a tender age. And this is Judy at an older age. And this is Adele at an older age. This looks like Noah and Nadav and Dan. And over here we have the three Dolly sisters, Ann Kaplan and Leah and Florence Rubens. And this completes this batch of pictures. Judy must be about 8 or 9 there. A little younger here. This must be Harold and Margie's wedding picture. And with that, we also found a picture Now here's a series of pictures that may tell a story. This is Joan on, must be a year and a half old. We're still on Athens Street. And there, again, down in the background. Yeah. And he's still there, not looking too happy. And all of a sudden he's smiling. Well, I'll figure that one out. This is Maud Siegel holding Don, and I think Joan is in the background. And then I have some guessing pictures. Like I have no idea who this really is, but it may be. Looks a little bit like Billy Hurwitz, but it's anybody's guess. And this, I don't know, could it be Don? I have no idea. I also don't know who this little girl is. Anybody recognize her? Or who is this baby here? Could that be one of the Goldblatts? Or what about this birthday person? Could be Joan, but not sure. And finally another guess. Here's a fisherman, a great fisherman. Shirley Height in the background. But who's holding the fish? Well, make a note of it. According to the name on back, this is supposed to be Gail Goldblatt, taking a 1950 6. And this used to be a pastime for the 3 neighbors. That's Sam Kaplan and Lil and Florence Rubin.